The United States finds itself navigating a diplomatic tightrope in the Middle East. Recent reports reveal secret talks between the US and Hamas. These talks, mediated by Qatar, center around a deeply sensitive issue: the release of American hostages held in Gaza. This move represents a significant shift for the US. It has long designated Hamas as a terrorist organization. Engaging in direct negotiations, even indirectly, is a departure from established policy. The decision to engage with Hamas underscores the difficult choices facing the Biden administration. It highlights the urgent need to secure the freedom of American citizens abroad. The talks also signal a potential willingness to explore new avenues for conflict resolution. However, the move is not without its critics. Some argue that it legitimizes Hamas and undermines efforts to isolate the group. The secret nature of the talks adds another layer of complexity. It raises questions about transparency and accountability. The lack of official confirmation from either the US or Hamas fuels speculation and uncertainty. The stakes are high, and the outcome of these negotiations remains to be seen. This delicate dance between diplomacy and security will have far-reaching consequences. It will shape the future of US involvement in the region, and it will impact the lives of those directly affected by the ongoing conflict. Qatar plays a pivotal role in mediating the secret talks between the US and Hamas. The tiny Gulf nation has a history of engaging with actors often shunned by the West. This makes Qatar a valuable intermediary in complex geopolitical situations. Qatar's unique position stems from its independent foreign policy. It maintains communication channels with a wide range of actors, including Hamas. This approach has drawn criticism from some quarters. However, it has also enabled Qatar to facilitate dialogue and de-escalate tensions. In this case, Qatar acts as a bridge between two parties with a long history of mistrust and animosity. The US benefits from Qatar's established relationship with Hamas. This allows for indirect communication without compromising its official stance. Hamas, in turn, gains access to a powerful international player. Qatar's role as mediator is not without its challenges. It must navigate the competing interests of both sides. It must also manage the delicate balance between facilitating dialogue and appearing to condone Hamas's actions. Despite these challenges, Qatar's involvement offers a glimmer of hope. It provides a platform for dialogue in a seemingly intractable conflict. Whether this delicate dance of diplomacy will lead to a breakthrough remains to be seen. At the heart of these clandestine negotiations lies a deeply human tragedy: the plight of American hostages held captive in Gaza. The exact number of Americans held remains shrouded in secrecy. This only amplifies the anguish and uncertainty felt by their families. These individuals are not pawns in a geopolitical chess game. They are fathers, mothers, sons, and daughters. Their lives are hanging in the balance. Their captivity is a stark reminder of the human cost of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. It highlights the devastating consequences of political impasse and violence. These hostages are caught in a web of geopolitical complexities. Their freedom hinges on the success of these high-stakes negotiations. The families of the hostages live with a constant ache of worry. They cling to the hope of their loved one's safe return. The secrecy surrounding the talks adds to their burden. It leaves them grappling with a lack of information and a sense of helplessness. The hostage situation injects a profound moral dimension to the negotiations. It underscores the urgent need for a peaceful resolution. The fate of these individuals hangs in the balance. Their freedom represents a critical test of diplomacy and a testament to the power of human compassion. The US-Hamas talks are fraught with challenges. Decades of mistrust and animosity between the two sides cast a long shadow over the negotiations. The US classifies Hamas as a terrorist organization. This complicates any official engagement. Hamas, for its part, views the US as biased towards Israel. This deep-seated distrust creates a climate of suspicion. It makes it difficult to find common ground. Adding to the complexity is the issue of Hamas's legitimacy. Some argue that engaging in talks, even indirectly, legitimizes the group. This could undermine efforts to isolate Hamas and pressure it to renounce violence. The involvement of other regional actors adds another layer of complexity. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict is a multifaceted issue. It involves a complex web of regional alliances and rivalries. Any resolution must take into account the interests of all stakeholders. The secrecy surrounding the talks further complicates matters. It raises concerns about transparency and accountability. The lack of public scrutiny can fuel speculation and mistrust. Despite these challenges, the U.S. seems willing to pursue dialogue. The potential rewards of securing the release of American hostages are high. However, navigating these troubled waters will require patience, diplomacy, and a willingness to take risks. The decision to engage with Hamas is not without its risks. However, it also presents potential benefits. Primarily, it offers a rare opportunity for dialogue. Direct communication, even if indirect, can help build understanding and reduce mistrust. It can create a channel for communication in times of crisis. The talks could pave the way for future cooperation on issues of mutual interest. These could include humanitarian aid, economic development, and security. A successful outcome could also enhance the United States' standing in the region. By securing the release of its citizens, the United States would demonstrate its commitment to their safety and well-being. It could also bolster its image as a credible mediator in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Furthermore, engaging with Hamas could provide valuable insights into the group's thinking and motivations. This intelligence could prove crucial in future efforts to counter terrorism and promote stability in the region. The talks represent a calculated risk, a gamble with potentially high rewards. Success is not guaranteed, and the road ahead will be long and arduous. However, the potential benefits of dialogue, however slim, are worth pursuing. The United States appears to be betting on diplomacy as a means to achieve its strategic objectives. Only time will tell if this gamble will pay off. Section 6. Shifting Sands. Implications for U.S. Middle East policy. The U.S. decision to engage in secret talks with Hamas signifies a potential shift in its Middle East policy. Traditionally, the U.S. has relied on a strategy of isolating Hamas. It has sought to strengthen its Palestinian rivals and pressure Hamas to renounce violence. However, this approach has yielded limited success. Hamas remains a powerful force in Gaza. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict continues to fester. The Biden administration seems to be exploring alternative approaches to break the deadlock. Engaging with Hamas, even indirectly, suggests a willingness to explore all avenues for conflict resolution. This could signal a move away from the traditional framework of isolating Hamas. It could indicate a shift towards a more pragmatic approach. This potential shift has significant implications for U.S. relations with both Israel and the Palestinian Authority. Israel has long opposed any engagement with Hamas. It views the group as an existential threat. The Palestinian Authority, on the other hand, might welcome a more active U.S. role in mediating the conflict. However, it could also view the talks with suspicion. The Palestinian Authority fears being sidelined in any future negotiations. The secret talks represent a high-stakes gamble for the Biden administration. They could pave the way for a breakthrough in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. However, they also risk alienating key allies and further complicating an already volatile situation. The outcome will depend on the Biden administration's ability to navigate the complex web of regional politics and balance the competing interests of all stakeholders. Section 7. The weight of precedent, past negotiations, and their legacy. The current US-Hamas talks are not the first attempt at dialogue between the two sides. Previous administrations have also engaged in back-channel diplomacy with Hamas. These efforts have yielded mixed results. In some cases, they have led to the release of hostages. In others, they have ended in failure and recrimination. The legacy of these past negotiations weighs heavily on the current talks. The successes and failures of previous attempts offer valuable lessons for the Biden administration. They highlight the challenges of negotiating with a group like Hamas. They underscore the importance of patience, persistence, and a realistic assessment of what is achievable. One key lesson from past negotiations is the need for a clear and achievable objective. In this case, the primary goal is the release of American hostages. Focusing on this narrow objective can increase the chances of success. It can prevent the talks from becoming bogged down in broader and more intractable issues. Another important lesson is the need for discretion and confidentiality. Public pronouncements and grandstanding can undermine the delicate trust-building process. Quiet diplomacy, conducted away from the glare of the media spotlight, is often more effective. The Biden administration appears to be heeding these lessons from the past. The talks are being conducted in secret. The focus is on the immediate goal of hostage release. However, whether these efforts will succeed where others have failed remains to be seen. The weight of history hangs heavy over these talks. Section 8. A waiting game, the uncertain future of the talks. The future of the US-Hamas talks hangs in the balance. The talks are still in their early stages. Both sides remain tight-lipped about the details. This secrecy fuels speculation and uncertainty. It is unclear what concessions, if any, each side is willing to make. The US faces pressure to secure the release of its citizens. However, it is also wary of making concessions that could be seen as legitimizing Hamas. Hamas, for its part, is seeking to ease its isolation. It hopes to gain international recognition and legitimacy. The group is also demanding an end to the blockade of Gaza. This has crippled the territory's economy and caused widespread hardship. The talks could collapse if either side perceives the other as being intransigent or unwilling to compromise. External factors could also derail the negotiations. A renewed outbreak of violence between Israel and Hamas could poison the atmosphere. It could make it impossible to continue talks. The Biden administration faces a delicate balancing act. It must weigh the humanitarian imperative of freeing its citizens against the potential political costs of engaging with Hamas. The international community is watching these talks closely. The outcome will have significant implications for the future of the Middle East peace process. Section 9. A fragile hope. The potential for peace amidst uncertainty. The secret US-Hamas talks offer a glimmer of hope in a region often shrouded in darkness. Despite the long history of animosity and mistrust, the very act of dialogue represents a step forward. It acknowledges the need for communication and understanding. It suggests a willingness to explore alternative paths to peace. The potential for a breakthrough remains slim. The challenges are formidable, and the outcome uncertain. However, the stakes are too high to abandon this fragile hope. The release of American hostages would be a humanitarian victory. It could create momentum for further dialogue and confidence-building measures. The talks, if successful, could lay the groundwork for a more comprehensive peace process, one that addresses the root causes of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. This would require the involvement of all stakeholders. It would necessitate difficult compromises from all sides. The road to peace is long and arduous. It is paved with setbacks and disappointments. However, the pursuit of peace is a moral imperative. It is the only way to break the cycle of violence and suffering. The US-Hamas talks, however uncertain their prospects, represent a flicker of hope. They remind us that even in the darkest of times, the possibility of peace, however distant, must never be extinguished.